Oops. Hey guys, it's Square here. Today I'll be talking about the patch notes because it was requested by someone. And yeah, I'll go over it. And the thing about every set of patch notes, I'm just gonna play replays in the background while I talk about it because last time I did it, people were complaining that it was fucking boring. And to be honest, I agree with them. Like, unless you're intensely competitive in the game, patch notes are probably very boring for you. And that's that's just how it is. It's all good. So I'd say overall they're pretty good changes, but a lot of things happened which are going to change up the game a lot. And I do appreciate that. Like, I'm glad they're trying to change the game. And it's something that, they should be progressing on and they're working on it. So overall, I got to give them some good credit for that. And, just good stuff overall. So the less turret damage will help aggressive characters more. So expect to see 40th Luke. So what they did is change from turret damage from 50% to leaders to 35%. So that basically means you'll see more tower diving players. And since you'll see more tower diving players, if you're playing a defensive hero, you may want to consider running stun grenades or nerve gas grenades because, of course, in this game, you see aggro Luke. He just dived into my tower. But since I had a TIE Bomber, it's basically like a mini stun. It's like like an opposite, like an anti-net where it pushes them away. So that's also a good substitute for stun grenade or net or nerve gas grenade if you really, really need area of effect. And you also need like some sort of displacement ability. So that's one option. Even Cassians, I think maybe you should run it too, just because it might be prevalent. But the thing is, even with the turret change, aggressive characters are still going to have a very hard time due to their other changes. So they extended the red zone, which is basically where you can put your units down. And first of all, I don't know if you guys just saw right there, that fucking Ben Kenobi had a sniper scope on his fucking arm because he just transformed that fucking that dewback from 20 miles away. But whatever, that's beyond the point. It's supposed to be a patched video. That part I was like, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me, dude. I was in front of the dewback too, but I don't know. It's all just opinion in this gameplay. Anyways, so the extension of the red zone's main to counter aggro, so they'll have a harder time rushing you. And I think it makes sense why they do it, but I'm not sure if that's the best way to do it. They probably have some internal testing that I don't really understand. And I hope that it works out. I'm sure if it's really, really horrible, they'll change it back. I do have enough faith in them to at least, do that much. So, we should see how this works out and how it ends up affecting the meta. So the meta isn't as aggressive as people thought it would be because I think of this reason where you can't put units as closely as you would like to. And this also is a big nerf to, what is that called? MTV Light Vehicle, because MTV Light Vehicle people would just try to backdoor it and not even face you. They just play defense, and then in the moment you focus on one lane, a lot of Empire players will just put MTV Light Vehicle and literally just do nothing the whole other time and just I don't know. I think it's a ridiculous tactic. A lot of really aggressive players have trouble with that, but the thing is, if they're going to do that slow push tactic, not even slow push tactic, the hyper defensive tactic where they just stay still and throw MTV light vehicles in the back lane that's not being, has no other units, you just overwhelm them with units because 5 energy to backdoor is way too much, honestly. It's just not effective in that, effective as a strategy overall. So anyways, yeah, that's another thing. I'm going to play another replay here real quick. Wow, poor guy. So anyway, stamina recovery has been nerfed. Dashes have a longer cooldown and regeneration time, and same thing with the running animations with all characters. And I think this is overall a good thing. I think it's a kind of a smoother thing because a lot of people would literally just double click spamming. This is what they would do. They just fucking spam the shit out of their phone so they could move really, really quickly. And it looked really, really weird and was really annoying to try to keep up with them. So I think they did it out of smoothness instead of out of balance. So it makes sense why they did it. And I also think this is kind of a slight buff to dash characters because dashing gives you a lot of movement in one burst, but then you're stuck the rest of the time. So I think it's a slight buff to dashing characters, even though they got nerfed a little bit too. So every unit in its game got its range slightly reduced. This is going to hurt melee characters a lot more than range characters, specifically because it's a lot harder to get in range with a slow melee character like Darth Vader than it would be to get in range as Cassian, because you just sit there as Cassian, you tap a target and you probably hit it unless they run away. as Darth Vader, you have to stick on your target and you have to keep attacking. You don't get to just you don't get to just stick on them for free. You got to use a stun grenade or Dr. Aphra or something. So it's overall a good buff to range characters, because they were having a bit of a hard time dealing with hyper aggressive players. And speaking of that, the Bodhi nerf was actually pretty good in my opinion. He probably was a little bit too good, and honestly, I don't like him as a character, and I don't think he's very fun, but it's alright. Like, he's not going to be hurt too badly, and he's not going to be, you know, unplayable. He's probably still one of the best characters, even though he was slightly nerfed. And in fact, the G&K droid, they nerfed its movement speed from 1.2 to 1 movement speed. That's actually a really good thing for slow pushers, because you can actually block your G&K droid to make it move even slower. So its effective speed is probably like 0.8, and you can get a huge push, and you can just use it to face tank things. So I think it's a really good buff, actually. But what it can't do anymore, you can't send it backdoor by itself without anything to help it, because it probably will die before it even gets a tower if they send anything at it, because it's so slow. But I think it's overall, and the way I play it, because I use it as an aggressive card, but using it as a defensive card has been nerfed, which is good. I like it. I'm happy with that they did such a change. If you really want to do poke tower to a damage, you should be using, what's that called, Rocket Trooper instead anyways. You shouldn't be running G&K droid. So they're giving G&K droid more of a role, and Rocket Trooper more of a role that differentiates it. That's what I had to complain before, that Rocket Trooper is so good that G&K had no role. And now that they decided to, you know, differentiate the cards a little bit more, and that gives them each more of a role. Rocket Trooper's more poke, G&K droid's more aggressive, you need to support it. So very happy about that one. So 40th Luke now has gotten really, really powerful. I underestimated the damage 40th Luke would do with his melee attacks, and now he's just insanely good. He still takes a lot of skill to play. He's not like a brain dead character, but he's so much easier to play right now. It's just ridiculous. If you have him, I recommend you try it out, because you'll just see how powerful he is. He just... like, the range nerfs don't affect him as much because he has a dash attack to help him stick on range, and he can keep dashing in if they run away. He even has a rolling attack that he can just stick on people. So the fact that every other character got nerfed in range, like he did too, but he still has dashes in that are automatic into his kit. He doesn't even have to use energy for these dashes half the time. So it's just, he's insanely powerful now because he's just so mobile. He's more mobile than any other character in the game. And honestly, if any character is going to be the best character in the game, I'd want it to be him, because he's harder to play than like Tarkin or, you know, Thrawn or something. I think Thrawn's probably the best Empire player because Empire leader right now, because he can just do a lot of things, and he's probably too good at what he does. Especially now that slow pushing has become the new meta, since you can't be aggressive anymore. Slow pushing is like insanely good right now. So all slow push decks are going to have an advantage in this specific meta. And yeah, that's it for now. It's been kind of long and drawn out. So the overall patch notes, I'm just going to sum up right here, is that aggressiveness is actually a little bit weaker than you'd expect, but like hyper aggressiveness, where like there's no like suicide characters, have a slight buff, but not really that much of a buff because of the red zone. So yeah, if you're a Cassian or like a really, really defensive characters like Jin, you can consider running a stun grenade just so you don't die to like dives and stuff. And yeah, I've been seeing a lot more suicide Lukes lately, but you know, it's just how it is. I'm glad they're trying to increase the pace of the gameplay in some senses, but they're also trying to slow it down. But I think overall they slowed it down, and I think that's okay. I'm okay with it. They didn't slow it down to turtling, but they slowed it down to you have to play a card. Even if you play it slowly, you still have to play a card. You can't just sit there and do nothing, which is good in my opinion. So anyways, that's it for now. Sorry it was so long, and I'm just reading off my notes and playing replays. So yeah, I'll see you all next time, and have a good one. Make sure to check out the subreddit. Send me your replays, by the way. I have 2 now. I'll probably make a replay analysis video where I analyze people's gameplay and teach them how to be better. There are better players than me to do this, but I don't see anyone else doing it, so hopefully I start a trend where better players than me will teach other people. And yeah, that's it for now. Check out the subreddit, and see you all next time. Peace out, y'all.